Hello everyone, today's video features Alec Blenis, lifter, runner, content extraordinaire. Seriously, if you strength train and you do conditioning, you have to follow his Instagram account. It is chock full of good information. And his YouTube channel features longer style content with other athletes and professionals. So he was traveling through California. He stopped by Untamed for a lift with me. That video will be on his channel. And then we ran some hills together afterwards. For a little context, while we were lifting, it was absolutely dumping rain. And I didn't think we were going to be able to record this run, but we just went for it. We made it happen. The rain lightened up a little bit. We put the microphone in a plastic baggie, used a drone that only worked 1.5 times because of the rain. And then a gym member agreed to record this inside of a truck being driven by another gym member. There are parts of this video in the very beginning where the light is blown out. The exposure is way off, but that doesn't last long. Just hang in there. My original plan was just to record us ripping some hills, maybe getting competitive with it, but it ended up being more like an interview because I had so many questions for Alec, and he was kind enough to play along and answer all the questions. So this kind of turned into like a running podcast. I have included the hill runs that we did as B-roll. You'll notice that some of them we run together. There's one where we run at our own pace. You'll see him take off in front of me, and then another one where he gives me a 20-second push-up head start. All in all, it was a really good workout, good conversation. It's a lot of good content. Enjoy. So, dude, thank you for doing this workout with me, this run. I feel like I'm running with a professional athlete. So you have to kind of come down to my level here. I imagine when people ask you, hey, you want to go on a run? You're kind of thinking like, well, I kind of wanted to run twice as fast as you, and I wanted to run twice as far as you. So, do you often get that?
You know, not as much as you might think, because for me, like, I'll do 1 or 2, really tough quality sessions in a week where I'm really particular about my performance, the paces I want to hit, the distance I want to go. But a lot of the rest of it is pretty casual, a lot of easy running. And when it comes to easy running, I think people overthink it a lot. Volume is volume as far as I'm concerned with a lot of the easy work. So for a lot of my miles, whether I'm running 7-minute pace, 9-minute pace, for a good chunk of it, I don't really care. There's some runs that I want to pick it up a little bit, or maybe throw in some strides, some pickups. But if a friend is like, hey, you want to go run, and it's an easy mile day, I really don't care at all.
What does your training look like right now? Or what does your weekly routine look like right now? What do you try to follow? Just to give an idea of what sort of workload you're doing. That's running and gym stuff.
So my training split has varied quite a bit, over the years, seasonally, depending on what I got going on in life, that kind of thing. For a lot of the last couple of years, I've been doing a higher frequency upper-lower split where I'm in the gym almost every day. But more recently, last couple of months, I've flipped that. I'm doing full body just 2 or 3 days a week, and that's it. The sessions are quite a bit longer now, but a lot less frequent, a lot less time going to the gym, getting started, driving home, all that. And it's given me a little bit more time to focus on my running, some business stuff I'm working on. So it's been a nice change up. Those are tough longer sessions, but just 2 or 3 days a week is not bad. On the running side of things, I've also changed things up quite a bit recently. Historically, I've done a ton of cross-training volume, and my actual running mileage has been on the lower side. So for most of the last couple of years, I'll run 30 to 40 miles a week and do like 5 to 8 hours of cross-training on top of that. So that could be incline stuff, Stairmaster, bike, etc. But recently, I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I want to get better at running. Let's try running more. And so I just kind of went cold turkey. I wouldn't recommend people do this, but I just dropped cross training completely, and I've been running every day. And so for the last couple months, I've been doing more like 60 to 70 miles a week. And the first month sucked. My legs didn't like it. But now it's feeling really good. It's been actually a lot of fun. So yeah, a lot of changes for me in the last couple months of training, but that's what it looks like now.
Do you feel like you have dug yourself into such a deep hole because you have to do so much training in order to just maintain and even more training to try to get better?
You know,
You like doing it.
I like doing it. I'd say in the strength training side of things, even with the experience that I have, I think minimum effective dose is lower than most people realize. And so even though I've been lifting now for 15 years and I'm down to 2 or 3 full body days in the gym, I could still probably do even less. And I think I could still make some incremental progress. So I'm not too worried about it there. The running side's a little different because there's no way around the volume needs for endurance progression. It doesn't mean you have to be doing crazy volume. And I could still progress my threshold, my speed with a lot lower volume in the short term. But for some of my long distance goals, marathon, ultra stuff, there's a time cost that you can't escape. I don't get too worried about it in the sense that, you know, if I'm busy and I have a down week, or even a phase where it's like, I know I'm not going to be able to put in that kind of time for a couple months. I know there's still some things I can be working on and improving still. It doesn't have to be high volume, all in on everything all the time.
It's a little less than half a mile up, so we'll go up and down and maybe even race. I'm gonna drop the mic now and we'll just head up there. So, let me give you a scenario. So dude, like, I lift weights like 4 times a week. And like, I do like sets of 5 on squats, 5 sets of 5. And my heart rate is freaking like 180, like cranks up. I'm breathing so heavy. You're getting my heart rate is jacked up. So like, I don't really see the point of doing, you know, long, slow cardio or any cardio. I do, you know, plenty of strength training. Not that you need to sell it, but
Yeah.
what would be like your elevator pitch? Well, maybe you should be doing it for this reason.
So my general spiel is that heart rate alone is not the stimulus. It's a proxy, meaning that under ideal conditions, heart rate can reflect cardiac output and kind of the demands on the circulatory system. But that's under ideal conditions. It's not all the time. So there's a wide range of circumstances where your heart rate can be through the roof, even though there's not a lot of real work being done. And the most obvious example is something like a panic attack, right? So you could have a situation where your heart's going a mile a minute, you can barely breathe, and you're just sitting down, freaking out, you know? That's an extreme example, but it is an example of how what your heart is doing doesn't always reflect the stimulus that it's receiving. And so when you lift weights, there's a stress response. You might be jacked up on stimulants too, right? But the main reason for that, that you see such a drastic heart rate response to lifting is something called occlusion. And so when your muscles are engaged, you're maximally recruiting a lot of big muscles. Blood doesn't flow very well through muscles that are squeezing really hard. Let's go, buddy. So with that muscle occlusion, your heart has a hard time pumping a lot of blood against that resistance that your muscles are providing. And so there's not a lot of blood that's able to actually make it back to the heart and help it fill up with a high volume of blood. It's just trying its best to push what little blood it can get through your muscles. So your heart rate, the heart rate spikes, but the actual volume of blood stays low because of all that muscular tension. And so what you get there is what we call a pressure load as opposed to a volume load. And so you can get some adaptations to that. You can get some wall thickening. You can get, an improvement in what we call contractility. So it makes your heart squeeze a little stronger, which is not all bad. There's some good that can come from that too. But you're not getting the volume load. You're not getting the expansion. And so that expansion-based improvement in cardiac output, that's what drives the majority of aerobic fitness gains. So yes, lifting does have some positive influence in the heart, but that feeling you get being out of breath, heart racing, it in no way replaces or comes close to that expansion-based benefit, increase in chamber size that you get from traditional cardio like this. Oh, yeah.
I actually use the downhill part to just kind of let my skeleton hold me up. Just kind of fling my legs.
Oh yeah.
Try not to resist too much.
Let gravity do its job.
So what would be a couple of tips, general tips, or maybe my audience, let's say they're in their 30s, mid-30s, got a good base of strength, already built up, watched plenty of instructional squat, bench, deadlift videos. Now they want to start doing some cardio for health benefits, but also just to keep up with their family, keep up with pickup basketball, any recreational stuff they do, maybe go hiking, all this kind of stuff. Maybe they had a realization that, wow, I'm actually out of shape. What would be some tips for someone who say, I need to start running, don't really know where to start, maybe some things to avoid?
Common mistake that people make when they're first getting started is they're so worried about the interference effect, cardio killing their gains, that they don't acknowledge that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And there's an adaptation period. And no matter how many of the right things you do, how much good advice you follow, those first couple weeks, you're like, I'm going to try to start running. It kind of sucks. Like, there's no way to start where you're like, oh, this is super easy. It's everything I hoped it was going to be and more.
Come back to me.
So no matter how much good advice you follow, try to do all the right things, optimize this, optimize that. Starting a run program, starting any sort of cardio program, it's going to be tough for a while. So don't make any rash decisions about how you feel a couple weeks in. Like, see it through and accept that there's going to be some temporary hit to your strength numbers, that you're going to get over that hurdle after a while. But to hopefully make that as minimal as possible, I would advise, when you are adding something new to your program, take something away somewhere else, even if it's just a little bit, lower your volume a little bit, pull back on a couple of things as you add in that new stimulus, and then give yourself, 3 solid months of seeing how it goes, getting used to it, before you keep trying to mess with stuff, change this, change that. Just get like 3 solid months of consistency under your belt. That's the biggest piece of advice.
That's good. I saw you looking at your watch. Were you just checking pace? Or actually, a better question, do you often get on your Garmin? Is that what that is?
It's Garmin.
Get on your Garmin and it says, you need to rest, desperately need to rest.
Half the time is me just frustrated at all the features that I don't want to use, and it like forces me to use. It's like, hey, you left your phone behind. We're helping you find it. I'm like, I left my phone behind on purpose. I don't want it, so I have a watch. But yeah, a lot of it is just tuning out the noise and just being attentive to 1 or 2 key pieces of information that are relevant on that day. I think people, they're too into like all these metrics without really understanding how they fit into the bigger picture. Like heart rate variability, for example, everyone just thinks higher is better, and they wake up and they follow their training readiness. But your HRV trend should and will look different depending on the goal of that training phase. And so if you're in an anaerobic capacity block, your HRV is probably not going to trend up, even if the training response is good and your training readiness is good. A lot of anaerobic training is just going to push that down a little bit, and that's okay. So most people, though, they don't know what the numbers are even supposed to be doing. They just wake up, they look at their watch, it says one thing. They have no idea how to contextualize that into their big picture program, what else is going on in their life, what their goals are, how they feel, what's going on with their schedule that week. maybe you need to train hard today because you're going out of town. You're not going to train hard for 3 days anyway. So regardless of what your watch says, go ahead and send it. And so there's just so much stuff like that that I think people end up losing sight of what really matters because of too much data with too little information around it.
Here's an example. I stopped wearing my watch when I sleep because I know if I wake up, 1, I feel rested, so I don't care what my watch says. 2, I know I was out cold and dead asleep last night. 3, I don't always have control of how long I get to sleep. Like majority of people, by the time I get done with the last class at Untamed, maybe my son has a baseball game, dinner, bath time, homework, get to bed. It's 9:30. I have to get up at 4. Like my watch says 6.5 hours is not enough sleep. I'm like, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then as far as like the VO2 max and all those metrics, I just like using performance metrics. Maybe once or twice a year, I'll test my all out balls to the wall mile. And I'm like, yeah, damn, it's improving. Or PR 5K or something like that. I just feel like that's much more enjoyable to track than all those other numbers.
So the funny part about some of the performance stuff that you just mentioned is all the data that people really care about, like their VO2 max, for example, the vast majority of the data on VO2 max that says it's so important for longevity, this and that, they never actually measured their VO2 max in those studies. They were performance proxies. They tested their performance, estimated VO2 max, said VO2 max is important. But most of those large cohort studies were just performance-based anyway. And so, like, performance is really the key driver. Yes, there's some, like, objective VO2 max research, but that's usually the smaller, studies. You can get 10 people into a performance lab kind of thing. But the data we have on, like, tens of thousands of individuals, that's performance-based, generally. And so if you dig into the data and try to figure out, okay, what type of performance is really most strongly correlated with longevity and make that direct comparison from performance to longevity, nothing really stands out as you need to do mile training or 5K or it's long distance. Like, as far as we know, just getting better at stuff is good.
Yeah.
And I don't think it needs to get much more complicated than that.
I love it.
On the topic of like data-driven training decisions, when it comes to zone 2 this, threshold that, a lot of people want to know, like, just tell me what to do. Like, just tell me the heart rate. Tell me the percentage. Like, how am I supposed to execute this workout? And my main piece of advice is that understand that anything I can tell you about how to do zone 2, how to do threshold, what this means, what that means, it's not a set in stone prescription, it's a starting point. And there is no way for me to be able to tell you with laser precision the exact intensity or duration or anything that your workouts are supposed to be. The ultimate thing that you end up doing is adjusting workouts based on your progression and based on your recovery. So like with zone 2 stuff, the whole point of zone 2 or easy aerobic training is to be able to accrue more volume without sacrificing or being unable to continue to progress your high intensity. And so the metric you have to come back to is, how does my recovery feel? And so whether you're doing your zone 2 at 65% or 70%, I can't tell you for sure which is better unless we try it and we see how you feel, we adjust, we maybe try it one way, try it another way and see what's better. And same thing with threshold. Should you be, a little bit faster, like closer to a 10K pace or slower, closer to half marathon pace? We got to try it, see how the body holds up, maybe try it both ways, see what's better for you in that moment at that time. So any advice that you're getting about how to do a workout, how to hit a certain intensity, just remember it's more of a guideline, it's more of a starting point. You have to be aware of how to make some of those changes, monitor your progress, and auto-regulate long-term.
All right, final question. I'm taking one from Alec's book. You asked me if you're on your deathbed, whole world watching, what's one piece of advice that you would give everyone? It could be fitness related, non-fitness related, whatever you want. The mic is yours.
I think that for those of us that are really into fitness and training. Sometimes we take it for granted. We get to go to the gym every day, be out here running in the rain, and just kind of having a fun time. But there's so many people out there that don't experience this for one reason or another. Like the vast majority of people in this country are not meeting basic physical activity guidelines. Most people are not strength training. Most people are not doing cardio. And just meeting the basics doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to be an expert. Just get out here and do it. It really is life-changing. And I don't want to be like cliche, but it helps you live longer, be healthier, be more present for people in your family, your community, take care of your kids, be a better coworker, whatever, you name it. Fitness is going to help with that. So get out there, meet your basic physical activity guidelines, and if you're already crushing them, don't take it for granted. Use your gift, use your experience and your knowledge to get out there and help someone else meet those guidelines too, because it's awesome, and we're very fortunate to be able to do this kind of stuff.
Beautifully said. I couldn't agree more. Alec, thank you for doing this with me, man.
Thanks, dude.
Appreciate you putting me on your itinerary for the California adventure. Thanks for watching, and always remember, train on time! Home stretch. Hell yeah. I got 5.33. What's yours say?